Hello guys, I hope you guys are doing great even as you are watching this video. My name is Chisola Nyala. I'm an electrical engineer. And in this video, we basically want to talk about the energy crisis of Zambia. So we all agree that at this particular moment, Zambia is actually suffering from an energy problem. The production capacity is way below the demand of the country. And this is not a good sign. Now, what does that leave us with? It tells us this is the moment that engineers should actually come up forward and start talking about this. So, and in this video, I just want to give something that I think the nation really needs in order to be able to curb this energy crisis that we have in this particular period in the country. So first things, I just want to mention a few facts, and I won't contribute on them, but I'll just highlight them. I hope you get the main reason why I'm mentioning that at the end of the day. The first thing I want to say is that the production sector of any country is not independent of the country's policy. This is the reason why there should be synchronous between the political leaders that come up with the policies that govern the country and the expertise and the experts that are in the manufacturing sector. So I'm talking about engineers. Then the second thing I want to say is that engineering is a business. So it's not just a matter of getting a degree and looking for a job. It's a matter of getting a degree and thinking of how you can come up with a product and solve a particular problem that is there in society. So the product is actually the solution that you provide to society. That is engineering. So having said that, there's something that I think is really important for the country, and I'm hoping whoever is responsible may start thinking about this. So the fact is, we have an energy crisis in the nation. So how do we approach this particular problem? I suggest that we have a ministry that is really gonna be able to come up with policies that do not violate the engineering principles. What I mean is that we can come up with something like the Ministry of Renewable Energies. Now, this is going to help us to have policies that will support the production of energy, to be specific, renewable energy, because that's where everybody is going. So I think that's the first step that the government should be thinking about. Introduction of a ministry. Suppose I'm thinking something like the Ministry of Renewable Energy. So that ministry is going to be focused on how to improve the energy sector of this country. Now, the reason why I think it's important, it's because engineering on its own is not independent of the policy. So when we have a ministry that is focused on that, focused to look at that particular problem, then we have a way of bringing the policy and the engineering principles together, so that there is agreement between the two. Now that tells us, it guarantees us success in whatever we're doing. Now I want to give an example what the Ministry of Renewable Energy can do. For example, if the Ministry of Renewable Energy comes up with a policy, for example, depending on a company, suppose there's a production company, depending on its capacity of operation, they should fix a percentage of electricity that should be produced using maybe solar energy by the company, or by the company on its own. So what I mean is that if the company is, if the company's demand is very huge, it's going to draw more from the national grid. Now this decreases the demand. This decreases the energy that goes to the other other customers. So if you're having a huge potential company, a customer which is huge companies or manufacturing industries, depending on how much capacity they have, the ministry can fix a particular percentage of power injection from solar energy. And why this is going to help the country, it's because when you look at solar energy, it's a very expensive at installation. So solar energy is very expensive at starting point. So this means solar energy cannot be afforded by local average people. It's quite expensive for an average individual to set up the solar energy, start producing their own electricity. So this tells us, but know this. It's important to also note that despite its initial cost, high cost, it gives you it guarantees you production of electricity for the minimum of 30 years. So once you install it, then that's it. You've solved the energy problem in that particular area. So the reason why I'm saying the government should come up with such a policy is because when you look at these huge companies, they've got the potential to produce their own electricity. Now, if they do not take advantage of that and they instead begin drawing electricity from the national grid, then at the end of the day we'll have less distribution of electricity to meet the different customers that require this particular amount of energy. So this, I think, is the first thing that the government should start thinking about, if at all we can have such a ministry, or even without the ministry. But I think this is quite a very important policy that should be introduced. So every potential customer that has got the potential to start up a solar plant on their own, they should be able to do that. They should be able to inject electricity in. So this is and the best thing they can actually do, if the company is quite a very big company, they can actually hook up power. They can actually hook up solar grid connected solar power plants. That means during the day, the company would generate their own electricity. If they're having excess electricity, they can sell it to the national grid, meaning increasing the amount of supply that the particular that we can actually have in the country. And then at the same time, if suppose they're having more load, then they can draw from the national grid. So there's some sort of balance that goes there. So the challenge with the solar industry is that the initial cost is very, very expensive. So that this tells us, if the rich people are sensitized to focus on production of electricity, their own electricity using solar energy, then would definitely in a short period of time have sufficient electrical supply in the country. So I think the reason why we are not going there, it's because people do not really understand how solar energy works. So they think, if they look at the initial cost, which is quite expensive, they think like they are wasting money, instead of they continue buying electrical units from a national grid at a cheaper price, but which they always do for the rest of their life. But with solar energy, once the initial cost is met, that's it. Production is guaranteed for you for the minimum of 20 years. So the point in this video, I think there's actually need for a specialized ministry that really takes care of energy. And I think we need a renewable energy, the ministry to look at the renewable energy. That's the reason why I'm suggesting something like the Ministry of Renewable Energy. There are so many policies that you can actually put into place to ensure that there's much production of electricity, and there's even distribution of electricity in the country. So I think this is how we should start thinking in terms of how we should curb this particular problem. There's so much more that I really want to talk about, but in this video I just wanted to initiate the thinking and just say what I'm thinking. So thank you so much for your time, and may God bless you.